Hi there, hi guys. Welcome to another rather impromptu live. I hope we're all well. And today's a little bit of a discussion about spiritual journeys, obviously because it's on this channel. But I also wanted to talk about how when we're on these spiritual journeys, we can sometimes find that we become very drained. We can sometimes find that we just have no energy. We can give a lot of our energy away and not really understand why we've given it away, and not really know how to control our boundaries. We don't know how to control our energy and take control of ourselves on our spiritual journeys. So that's a little bit of what I wanted to discuss today. And I often get asked this about when people are on a spiritual journey, and especially when they are empathic, and especially when they are very open to new ideas, to new thoughts, to new ways of living, to new ways of being. And because of this eagerness and this keenness, we can sometimes forget about ourselves. And I think this really really takes hold when we're on a healing journey. When if we work in the healing practices such as forms of spiritual healing, Reiki, any form of spiritual healing, really, we I think because want we so want to help other people, and we're aware that we're able to help on some level, but we often forget about ourselves. We forget about the energy that we're putting out there, and we forget about looking after our own energy in a way. And this is really, really important to our own well being, because we can start to shut down. We can shut down mentally and emotionally and physically. We can start getting a lot of ailments because we're constantly on the go, we're constantly doing, we're constantly putting ourselves out there. And I often talk about this, and I mention this a lot in posts about why people like to put themselves out there, and why they want to provide more of a service, how they want to do more and give more to people. And especially when they are on their spiritual journey, they put so much out there and keep forgetting about themselves. But how can we give from an empty cup if we're constantly giving and giving and giving and not recharging, not focusing on our own energy and being grounded and being in a nice harmonious state and focusing on replenishing that energy from within? So there's various ways of how we can replenish our energy. So that's something I'm going to talk about today on this live as well. So how do we replenish our energy to begin with? Meditation for me is a huge, huge component to um, looking after our energy, protecting our energy, slowing ourselves down, listening to our bodies, listening to what's going on internally. There is a lot of that. There is a lot of that within meditation. Meditation is a great teacher. It's a great teacher because it allows us to just stop. It allows us to stop with the toing and froing and the moving forward and the trying to help everybody. And when we go into meditation, when we stop, we're telling ourselves that, this is now our time for us. This is our time to just take stock of where we're at and give ourselves that opportunity to just pause, to focus on your breathing, to focus on your mindset, to focus on the various thoughts and feelings that might be going through the body. Hello, Sonia. Welcome to this live. I've just randomly jumped on. And so the meditation is a really, really important aspect of looking after your own energy. And if you've just joined, today we're talking about spiritual overload, overwhelm, and how we can look after our own energy. Because when we start this practice and we start these practices that we learn, we forget about ourselves because we're so keen and we're so eager to want to help, to want to be able to give healing. But we often forget about giving ourselves the healing and giving ourselves that time to just stop and to allow ourselves to replenish the energy that we're channeling, that we're using in some way. So every thought, every conscious thought that we have is a frequency, it's a vibration. If it's a negative thought, if it's a negative way of being, then it tends to use a lot more energy up because you're overthinking it and you're overanalyzing it and you're stuck in that density of that energy. If it's a positive thought, then again, it still has a frequency, it still has a vibration, but it's a lot lighter. So, if you think about something that you hate doing or you don't like doing something, and you sit with that and you sit with that for a while, and you tune into that, then you will start to feel overwhelm and exhaust. But if you focus on something positive that you love, if you focus on something in life that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, that brings you a feeling of peace, then that instills that feeling of stillness and love and happiness within. And that is how we can also replenish our energy, is by focusing on positive. So positive affirmations, positive mindsets. If we wake up every day and we have a negative mindset, that we tend to find that when we've started the day on a negative mindset, that the rest of the day is going to be heavy. It's going to have a heavy vibration to the rest of the day. If we wake up with a positive mindset, with an abundant attitude for the rest of the day, that you're going to bring in abundance and love and joy, and you're going to attract all this stuff, and it's a wonderful day to be able to be alive and to experience, then you're going to go into the day with a feeling of wonder. So the other side of the coin that we get from this is, yes, we have this feeling of wonder, of joy, of peace when we're helping people, when we're giving them the healing, when we're doing the Reiki sessions, when we're maybe doing tarot readings for people, or maybe if you're a medium or a psychic and you're doing the psychic and mediumship work for people, then it's great when you're in that frequency. But when are you stopping? I've heard a lot of stories lately about readers and psychic readers and mediums where they just read one after the other, after the other, after the other, and they eventually start shutting down because the body and the mind can't cope. They can't deal with it. It's physically, psychologically, emotionally draining and damaging on the body. So we can't remain in these stages of frequencies for long periods of time. And I'm not saying that that's the case with Reiki. With Reiki, it's very, very different, because we're working with universal healing energy, which is something that we all have within us. And when we are Reiki practitioners, we're upholding the Reiki principles to help harness and fill our beings with light by letting go of the denseness of the worry and the anger and the fear and all that low vibrational energy, and being more in gratitude and compassion, and being compassionate to each other and to all life. that instills a higher vibration. So I think with Reiki as a practice, from what I've experienced, there is a lot more um, to get from Reiki. There is a lot more peace. There's a lot more healing from the actual practice of Reiki that we receive individually. When we think about spiritual healing, which I know Reiki is a spiritual healing art, but when we actually think about spiritual healing, where some healers use a spirit entity to give healing through the individual, so they're then channeling the energy of that entity. Sometimes that can be very, very draining on the body because, again, they're sitting in that frequency for a long, long period of time. So if they're doing it continuously for person after person after person after person and not stopping, not having a break, maybe just seeing a few clients in that day, then it's all about boundaries. It's all about setting boundaries with yourself. And I was just watching a video earlier on today with a lady um, who came from the Arthur Finley College of Mediumship, and she was talking about some of these spiritual black holes that people do get into, where they find themselves becoming overwhelmed. They find themselves becoming drained very, very easily because they're not working on their own energy. They're too busy giving and giving and giving. And it's good to give. I'm not saying don't give, but you can't give from an empty cup. You can't give from an empty vessel. So you've got to replenish your energy. It's the same when we think of, if we think of going to the gym and you want to go and do a good workout, or you want to do some really tough cardio, or you want to pound some iron, and then your physical energy will only last so long. So that's when you need to replenish. You need to replenish with food, to give your body the fuel to recover, to recuperate, to grow muscle, and to repair whatever damage and stress has been caused by the body by the intensive exercise that you've done. It's exactly the same thing as everything that we do in life. So if we're working on spiritual nature, your mind, your emotions, the emotions that can come through from the healing sessions, from the spiritual sessions that you're working with, them too can be quite draining. And also the clients themselves, sometimes if they come to you with a lot of heavy emotional stuff or heavy mental stuff, and they've come to you for some healing, by all means, yes, you can give them the healing, you can help them. But sometimes after quite a heavy session, when you've discussed what they've been going through, what's been taking place in their life, you're taking a lot of this stuff on board, and by this point, because you're open to give the energy, your heart is open. So you've opened yourself up fully emotionally. You've committed to that. Then when we finish the session, are we coming out of the session? Are we closing down properly? So in Reiki, when I teach Reiki, the way I sort of close down, or I teach how to close down, is when you finish, you put your hands together. You can sit in gasho. You can give thanks for the session, and basically in your mind, you're that's for me, that's my sign that the session is now over. You now reconnect back to you, back to where you are. How Reiki benefits. I will get into that. Reiki has many benefits. So that is my way of ending a session, of like closing down. When we're talking about tarot reading, or people that are doing psychic readings or mediumship readings, then again, they have to have a process of shutting down. They need to switch off. When I've done tarot readings before, what you have to do is you basically have to open yourself up to that person. You're sending the intention out that you want to connect. If it's distance or even if it's in person, you're connecting to their energy psychically on a psychic level. So you're reading their energy. You're reading into their energy. You're reading into what you're getting from them. Then you can use either your own intuition, or you can use tarot cards or oracle cards, whatever you feel you need to do. But when you finish the session, are you closing it down? And also, how are you preparing your space before the session and after the session? So before Reiki sessions, what I like to do, I mean, I've just done a distance session in here, but what I like to do is I like to prepare the space with some nice calm music. I like to prepare the space with some Palo Santo, just cleanse my aura and the room around me. I like to use Reiki symbols to cleanse the space as well, to bring balance, to bring universal healing to the mind and body. And then when we finish the session, when I finish the session again, we're closing the hands, giving thanks. In the mind, we're ending the session, we're disconnecting from the client if it's distance or if it's in person. So we have to be aware that when we are opening ourselves up, we're opening ourselves up from the heart. When we open ourselves up from the heart because we want to give, we want to help, then we're open to a lot of stuff. We're open to a lot of energy that can sometimes be overwhelming. The trick is, and it's not really a trick, it's something that you learn over time, is to really kind of put that boundary up and put that place up. Hey, Brian, welcome, welcome. Calming in all senses, yes. It we really need to kind of know about that boundary, putting that boundary up into place, and also having respect not just for the healing practice, but also for yourself. Having respect for yourself to be able to just say, actually, no, I'm finished for today now, I'm done. It's time for me to focus on my life. It's time for me to focus on me and not be always putting out there, not always trying to be of assistance and trying to help. And this is something I learned quite a few years ago where, back in my earlier years, 20s, where I always felt like I had to be here, I had to be there, and people were asking me, "Oh, let's go out, let's go and do this, let's go and do that," and I was just like, I was just going along for the ride, just thinking, "All right, okay, yeah, I'll do that," not really thinking about me, but thinking more about like, oh well, it'll keep them happy. I'm not really thinking about me, and always putting your conscious thought somewhere else. Again, that's part of your boundary setting, and because you're consciously sending your mind elsewhere, you're not focusing it on you. You're not focusing it on your stillness, on your presence, on your calm way of being, of just keeping yourself focused and keeping yourself centered into the self. It's lovely to have you here as well, Brian. I hope you're well. We really need to do a live as well at some point soon. But yeah, I'm really, really good. Thank you. I hope you are too. And I hope life is treating you well over in the States. Vanshinka, how Reiki benefits. So Reiki benefits in many ways. Reiki is a very, very powerful healing modality that is beneficial for the mind, the body, the spirit. Brings emotional healing. It allows you to calm down. It allows you to recenter, to ground. It heals you on. It's a multi-dimensional healing modality. So it can heal past. It can heal the future. It can heal the now. And it really brings you into a more harmonious state within, and doesn't allow you to be off-centered. You keep yourself grounded, keep yourself stable, and basically the foundations of healing and the foundations of spirituality is all to do with grounding. It's all to do with your root chakra. It's all to do with your stability and your sense of stability in mind and body and soul. If we aren't in balance, if we aren't focused, if we aren't grounded, if we're too busy thinking about wanting to develop our intuition and our third eye and connecting to our higher self or spirit guides, we're putting more attention up here and not enough down into your roots. And really, we've got to think of ourselves as like an energetic tree. If we're not rooted, if we're not planted, if we're not stable and secure, and we're too busy working up here, you're going to be very, very off centered. You're going to be very, very unbalanced. So it really is about keeping that foundations. Once your foundations and your roots are strong, everything else will flourish within. Everything else will just be as it needs to be. It really will. So balance is such it can be quite a difficult place to find. It can be quite a tough way, a tough way of being really to find, to discover in life. And it can take many lessons, many steps down your journey to find what works for you. As I mentioned earlier, I was watching this video today about a medium, and she was talking about boundaries, and this spiritual overwhelm that a lot of people can sense and can feel, and they can feel just burned out because they've been giving too much, they've been putting too much of themselves and not focusing on them. They've not been taking a break. They've not been doing the meditation. They've not been just sort of calming the mind and the body and coming back to themselves. It's just been constantly giving, giving, giving. And the conscious thoughts have always been giving, 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 and not coming back to yourself. So it's very much as well that you can akin this to any part of life. So when we're trying to build a YouTube channel, to begin with, we think, right, we're going to make a video every day, and it's going to be an amazing video. And usually your first video that you ever make is like shite, it's crap. but you need to start somewhere, okay? And so you start off with this intention to make a video every single day because you want to get your subscribers in, you want to get the views in, you want to get people onto your channel, you want them to like your content, to subscribe, to share, to do all that stuff that you need to do to grow your channel. And then after maybe a couple of months, you've made video after video after video, and you might have got about maybe 10 subscribers, and you think, well, this is a lot of hard work for not much reward. And so then you think, right, okay, I'm just gonna take a break. I'm gonna have a bit of a break. Um, yes, Vanshika, yes, yeah, that absolutely centered root chakra stability perspective. Yeah, that's what that's entirely what it is. That's entirely what it is. Just think of the roots of a tree just growing deep, keeping you anchored, keeping you centered. So we're making all these videos, we're making all this content, we're not getting very far. And then you start seeing a lot of videos where they say, remember to take a break, remember to just step back, don't be overwhelmed by making the videos, by putting all the content out there, by doing so much that you become overwhelmed. Because what then happens is you start to think, well, I haven't really got anything else to talk about. I don't really know what to say. You start running a little bit out of ideas and your cup starts running dry. It's exactly the same situation with when we're working in the spiritual realms, with whether you're healing or reading or doing readings on some level. By the way, for you guys that are here now, there's 4 of you on the live. Please do give me a thumbs up and hit that heart button as well. Give me some love because it'll all help with the algorithm. It'll all help with this channel to get seen. Thank you. I've seen some love go up there, so thank you very much. Yeah, so getting back to what I was saying. Yeah, so if we're constantly focused on one area of putting ourselves out there and doing, and not stopping, then we're going to run out of gas. We're going to run out of fuel. And it's the same, like I say, it's exactly the same when you're working in the realms of energy, when you're working in the realms of being a healer or healing, um, you will run out of energy. It's, I mean, when I'm teaching Reiki, I always say to my students, I tend not to teach more. Sorry, I tend not to give more than 3 sessions a day, like in-person sessions or even distance sessions as well. And it's not really because I feel exhausted as such, because I'm receiving healing at the same time. I tend to feel quite activated and empowered actually after a Reiki session. But there comes a point where you do have to say, right, enough's enough. Because if you start booking in, say, of, I don't know, 20 clients a day, that's a bit like, that's not a realistic figure. Maybe 8 clients, 10 clients a day. So you're going to have one every hour, or maybe a 15-minute break in between. And you don't give yourself much time to sort of like rebalance, reground, focus on you, get that little bit of stability. Then you will start to lose steam again. Even though you're receiving the Reiki healing yourself, when you're going through the process, when you're giving the healing, you're getting reciprocal healing. You're receiving some healing as well during the process, and you're in that nice, calm place of giving and receiving healing. But there has to be a boundary. There has to be a cut-off point. There really does, um, and that is just, for me, it's just common sense, really, now. But if we if we're constantly focused on, like I say, just giving, 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 and not stopping and refueling and drinking and eating and meditating and calming ourselves down, then it's going to have an effect. It will have an effect. Uh, and Shika, how much time do we have to put into our self practice in a day? So, self practice each day for Reiki, you want to give yourself at least a full session a day. So, 45 minutes roughly. So, that's really around about 5 minutes per um, hand position if you're using chakras, if you're using the chakra hand positions. If you're not, I mean, I tend not to. It's not really part of my practice. I teach the chakras a little bit in level 1, but as a healing art, there is no chakras within Reiki. The only chakras that they use in Japan is the hara, or the sacral, and the third eye. That's the only 2 areas that are actually chakras as such that they use, but they don't call them chakras in Japan. They're just energy points. Like we have hara, and then we have the third eye, because chakras is a Hindu um, philosophy and belief, so that doesn't really go into Reiki as such. However, when it became westernized, um, it was the chakra system was used for hand positions. But yeah, so I would say 45 minutes for your own self practice. If you can't do it in one session, then do half on a morning and half on an evening, or maybe stagger it for maybe 3 sessions throughout the day. But just try to get that time in when you can, for your in-person practice, for your self practice. And also, if you can as well, incorporate a little bit of a meditation. So I like to, if I'm going to focus on just self-healing with Reiki, I like to do a little bit of a meditation beforehand, maybe 10 minutes, something like that, 15 minutes. Then I'll do the Reiki session. And then I'll maybe have a little bit of a meditation afterwards to just sort of come back down from the session to refocus, focus back on my breath. And then I will be re energized and ready to go on with the day. So I hope that helps with that question. So if you do have any questions for me as well while you're here, if you have anything that you want to ask, then do feel free, because this is an open forum, so it's for you guys as well to ask any questions that you may feel you would like an answer to or some clarity to, then feel free to do that. So, as I mentioned before, um, when we're talking about energy and working with energy, do I have daily live sessions? I don't do them daily. I tend to just jump on as and when. I've actually got a new laptop today, so I thought, you know what, I'll go on and I'll give it a go and see what the camera's like, and also see what the microphone's like. So if you can hear me well and it's nice and clear, then that's good. Because the microphone, my last laptop, was starting to um, pack in a little bit, and I've still got my old plug-in USB uh, webcam, because the webcam's okay on this one, but it's still not quite as clear as this picture. So I'm going to probably keep using this for the time being. But no, I don't do daily live sessions, but I will be wanting to do some more. I'm going to do some more live Reiki sessions soon, so some distance Reiki for anybody that wants to enjoy some healing, that wants to come on to a live. I'm going to start doing some more. I might even start doing some more crackles a little bit. Is mine? Do you mean my microphone's crackling a little bit? So yeah, so I'm that's what I'm planning on doing. I also have a okay, so it's my microphone that's crackling a little bit. Oh, that's strange. That's interesting. Um, I do have another microphone, but I thought I would just try the one in the laptop. Well, it might not be set up properly. I really don't know. So, but I will keep you notified. Yeah, I'll put it in the posts on the community, on the page, on the channel. So do keep your eyes peeled on there for any updates with regards to that. So what was I up to? What was I talking about? So the protection. So the boundaries. So I just want to highlight a few things that you can do to rebalance, to reground, to refocus your energy. So remember between your sessions to just take a break, basically, just to give yourself some time to just come back down, have a drink, have a cup of tea, maybe have some water, maybe have a little snack, something to eat. Don't forget your meal times, because they're very important as well. Also, making a journal between sessions is very beneficial. So then you can write down any experiences, anything that you were feeling, and basically just journal what you're feeling and what you're going through. Journaling is a really powerful tool to just bring the thoughts out of the head into the physical, written down into a pad. It's a really good way to process them. Another really powerful technique and a really good way to process that as well, especially if you've been working with um, heavy clients with a lot of emotional stuff that's been going on, then a little bit of EFT, a little bit EFT tapping around the energy points. There's lots of videos on my channel, but also lots of other videos on YouTube about EFT tapping and the benefits of it for just calming the nervous system down, calming the mind down, calming the body down. It's getting back into relaxing the nervous system, relaxing the mind and body, so you become a little bit more balanced. So that's another really good, powerful technique to use. And then learning some grounding meditations as well. So grounding meditation is a really powerful way to just center, to bring yourself um, back down into the moment. Yeah, do that, Sonia. Have a look into EFT. It really is powerful. I mean, when I try to explain EFT to clients, and I go through the cycle of where we tap on point, you can sometimes see that they're not kind of like quite getting it. But there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more behind the scenes, because you're actually speaking to yourself, you're speaking to your emotion, you're speaking to, and you're giving yourself the love that you deserve through that tapping. And so you're speaking to yourself and just telling yourself that you love yourself unconditionally is in there. There are courses you can do. Yeah, there are courses you can do. Uh, so you can do them online. There's some online courses. I think Udemy have online courses. Actually, there's a guy that I did my meditation course through, called Graham Nichols on Udemy, and he does some really really good courses. And he does an EFT and TFT course, so you could look into that. But if you want to do an in-person course, then there's a lady near us, in Norton near Stockton, who teaches. She did my EFT course. So it's really beneficial for yourself to use, but also once you've learned it, then you can use it for other clients, and for other people, to just help them to sort of like recalibrate and come down a little bit. The other thing with EFT as well is something that we call the SUD scale, which is the subject units of I can't remember, SUDS, subjective units of distress scale. So that's what it stands for. So basically, when you start your session, you mark from 1 to 10, 1 being like no effect whatsoever, 10 being where it's very debilitating to everyday life. And then they score themselves where that emotion is, and what it's doing to them in everyday life. So I tend to find most people around about 7 or an 8. You do the tapping sequence, your routines, and then afterwards they'll tend to find that they'll start coming down a little bit. But because I also use hypnotherapy alongside a lot of the practices that I use, taking them into a nice relaxed hypnotic state and allowing them to see themselves in that situation, allowing them to see themselves in what is causing the emotion, what is creating the stuff internally, and then being able to visualize the outcome of what it would be like afterwards without that affecting them in everyday life. And then again, doing a tapping sequence after that, it really helps to really help subside and calm everything even further, more than just like a general one tapping. So it's really, EFT is really really good to use alongside other modalities, especially Reiki. EFT and Reiki are really really good to use alongside each other as kind of calming techniques for anyone that's going through a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, stress, things like that. Then EFT and Reiki are extremely beneficial to use together. So that's another really good tool for protecting your energy. Also, just setting that boundary. You don't always have to be giving. Give yourself a day off if you need to. Give yourself some time off. Work on you. Take some time for you. A really good way of meditating as well, and meditating on your own energy, is something known as the sitting in the power meditation, which a lot of mediums use, and psychics use to connect to the spiritual energy. But it's more about connecting to the spiritual energy within, and then expanding that energy outwards. So when we're sitting in the power, we're focusing on that point within us that we feel our soul is housed, and we're visualizing that with each breath as a white light. And as we breathe in and breathe out, that white light becomes brighter and brighter, and eventually it fills the whole body, and it starts to expand out of your being. And you can be in this sitting in the power meditation for for quite a long period of time. But as soon as the mind takes over, as soon as something pops in, then you have to go back to the very beginning and you start it all over again, because as soon as the thoughts come in, you kind of like you lose that focus, you lose that momentum. So you need to come back to that. But that is a really really powerful way to just focus on your own energy, to visualize as you breathe this bright white light in the center of your being, with each breath becoming brighter and brighter, and expanding into every cell, every muscle, every nerve, and every fiber of your body, becoming brighter and brighter, and allowing that light to expand and fill your whole being. And that is really connecting deeply to your soul energy, visualizing it, feeling it with the breath, and feeling your breath permeate into every cell of the body, feeling the breath moving down the legs, moving down the arms, to the point that you just feel completely connected to your own energy. You're sitting in your own power, you're sitting in your own energetic vibration. And that is a really, really powerful technique to enhance, to rejuvenate, to enliven, to revitalize your life source energy, because that's what it is. It's your life source energy. It's your chi, it's your ki, your prana, your breath, your consciousness, your Christ consciousness, your Buddha nature. You're connecting to that bright light within. And again, that is something from Reiki. Reiki is always pointing us to this bright light within. It's pointing us to that light that resides within each and every one of us, within nature, within all life, all natural forms have this light within. And that is what Reiki, that is what a lot of these spiritual practices are teaching us. And what can happen over time as well, as we if we don't focus on that light and work with our light and expand our light and keep ourselves powerful and strong and shining and vibrant, is it's almost, sometimes it can be a bit like just um, putting some water over a candle and seeing it diminish. Or think of like a light bulb shining so brightly, but with all the work and all the time you're giving out and all the energy you're giving away and all the thoughts that are going externally, you're not focusing on you, with your heart being so open and wanting to give. It's like putting lampshade after lampshade after lampshade around this light, and eventually it will darken, it will diminish. It'll still be there, but then you need to do the work, the inner work, to take those lampshades off, to allow your light to become more magnificent, to become brighter, to become amazingly powerful. So that's another really, really powerful technique. Just creating those boundaries and focusing on that light. That, again, there's meditations all over YouTube about the sitting in the power meditation. There's a couple of really, really good ones that I like to use. There's one, I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the channel now. I'll have to have a look. But there's one, and I sit for about an hour with it, and I can feel my very vibration change. Um, I can feel myself lift. Um, you needed the session today. Well, everything happens for a reason. So thank you for joining and coming in, Vanchika, and jumping on board. So I hope it's been informative for you, and I hope you got something from it. If you need any other information or any other clarity, then do feel free to drop me a message, or comment in the box if you've got any questions. I can't remember the name of the channel, but there's a lot of different sitting in the power meditations that you can use. And like I said, the one that I like to use, it's on for about an hour, um, or just over an hour. And after around about 40 minutes of being in the meditative state is when I get this sort of like real rush, real powerful rush, this feeling of just pure presence within. And I always feel my head goes up, and I just feel like I'm getting higher and higher. And I just feel surrounded, basically surrounded with energy. I get that nice tingly feeling all over when the spiritual energy is moving out of me, but also connecting to me as well. It's really, really lovely and really powerful to be in that space. Sometimes we get that when we're doing Reiki sessions as well. I did that the other day, and I was giving somebody a Reiki session and felt spirit very, very close. It was a lovely, lovely session. and I just felt that lovely tingling sensation of when they are near. It was really nice, and I've not had that for a long time actually during a Reiki session. So it was nice to experience, just to remind me that they are still there. Basically, they are around helping on some level. So I hope this live has given you some ammunition to be able to look after yourselves, to be able to harness your energy, to focus on you, to focus on your energy, to be able to rebalance, to reground, to maintain that balance and maintain the energy within by just giving yourself the time, knowing your boundaries and setting the boundaries that you need to keep that strength in you, to be able to give from a full cup and not a half full cup or a semi empty cup, to always be conscious of yourself, always put yourself first. And many people think that that's selfish, but it's not. Because if we're constantly thinking of everybody else and we're not thinking of ourselves, then we're constantly running from an empty cup. And that creates anxiety, it creates panic, it creates fear, because we're constantly looking for the energy we can give to somebody else, but we haven't got any left. We haven't got any left because we haven't stopped. We haven't given ourselves the time. We haven't looked after ourselves. We haven't eaten properly. We've not drank properly. We're neglecting our life force energy, forgetting about it. And that is the key. Focus on your life force energy. And if you don't know what your life force energy is like, just sit and listen to your body. Get into meditation. If you get into meditation, listen to your body, what you're feeling internally. Do you feel drained? Do you feel tired? Do you feel exhausted all the time? Then there is something there that needs a level of work. There is something there that needs more energy in your life, in your being, in your day, in your week, wherever it might be. But your body will always be speaking to you, will always be telling you. You just need to be constantly aware of what it's saying, really tuning in to the body. So I'm going to head off, but I hope you enjoyed. Again, if you catch this video on a later date, then you're not subscribed to the channel, then do please subscribe to the channel. It all helps with the algorithm and helps the channel to get seen. Do share the video if you feel that the information has been informative for you, and if you know anyone that would benefit from this live and from this information, then do feel free to share. I will keep you all posted of any future healing sessions that I'm going to do live on here. I am going to be doing a few Reiki videos as well, so you can tune into them at some point as well. Do check out the playlists on the channel as well, where there is live Reiki videos, recorded Reiki videos. The energy is always there. It's never going to end. So don't think because I made the video 3 years ago that it's not going to work now, because energy is everything and it's everywhere. So it will still work, and it will still be just as beneficial now as it was then. So don't worry about that. There's also lots of meditations on the channel as well to help you in various aspects of your life, whether it's for sleep, whether it's for grounding, whether it's for connecting to your higher self, your spirit guides. I've got lots of different videos and information with regards to that. And yeah, there's all sorts. There's a bit of everything on this channel. But I hope this live has helped you today. And I look forward to seeing you all in the comments on the other videos and in future lives. Thank you, Sonia. I'm glad you enjoy the guided meditations. I do like making them. They're really nice to make, and yeah, they are really nice to make. And sometimes it's hard to think of new meditations to make because I've done that many. So, but I will be doing some more soon as well of them. So I'm gonna head off, guys. But thank you very much for watching and sending your questions in and commenting. And I will see you all again soon. Much love to you all. Do take care. Namaste. Bye for now.